Thokozani po gogo nabomkhulu. It's Wednesday. Gogo Lerato. I'm Gogo Kandalembube. I couldn't really choose a topic. Here's the thing. It's just it's crazy. So normally on Sundays I get topic inspirations, right? And then I start jumping up and down because I get these brilliant moments of inspiration from Badimu. But I don't write them down. And then next thing, that Wednesday, he leave it completely. Like, I've forgotten. I don't know why that happens. I was actually thinking today I must write down my topics and what I get told. So it looks like every Sunday I get like information downloads. But you will present a topic to me and then they sort of give me all the info on it. Like I promise you, Sunday night, like a full-on topic. And then Wednesday comes and yeah. Okay, and before I start, I want to sort of just talk to everybody who's booked their readings. Last week COVID in class, I think it's COVID though. I just never went to test. But I stayed in like 4 days. I just got this very weird flu from the Free State, and hey, flu yankitsang, it was bad. It was very bad. So now with all of the readings from last week that were not done, because I was like still in bed, was still trying to catch up and that. So for everybody who's got their readings, please may I have your patience, because I'm getting through last week's readings and this week's readings. It's just get drama fella. But okay, admin work done, dusted out of the way. Yeah, I know my mirror is right in the back, sort of reflecting the back of my head, but hey, we'll all live. Let's read the Bible and then Rerapele, and then we're gonna start on today's lesson. Thokozani. Bitso la Ntate la Mora le Amohelang, amen. Ka baka leo si iketseng basomi e se re mahlahlela a imela matsoho a lona, hobane ke utlwile ha ho phatlalatswa timetso e phatlalatswa ke Morena Modimo wa mabotho a re lefatshe lohle le tla timetswa, amen. Bitso la Ntate la Mora le Amohelang, amen. Jwalo ka ya lapileng aye alore aeja e re ha tsowa a iphumane a ntsa lapile, jwalo ka ha ya nyorilweng aye alore a nwa metsi e re ha tsowa a iphumane a kgathetse a nyorilwe, ho tla ba jwalo le ho matshwele a ditjhaba tsohle, matshwele a lwantshang thaba ya Sione, amen. Amen. What relevant scriptures, but let's pray and then we're going to go into today's topic. Ntatarona mahodimong, bitso la o le halletswe, o tle moswa hao thato etsa lefatsheng jwalo ka etswa lehodimong. O re fe ka jeno bo bo re lekaneng ba tsatsing le leng, o re tshwarele melato ya rona jwalo ka o re tshwarela ba re sitelwang, se re se molekong mme rwanne ho ye mobe, hobane mmuso kwa hao le matla le kganya le kgallelo jwale ka o sa feleng, amen. Amen. So but okay, so today's scriptures, they are so relevant. I promise you. I think Badimu, they always just take out the most relevant scriptures on earth. It's just amazing. So the last scripture, those who are hungry will sleep and dream of themselves eating and still wake up really hungry. And those who are thirsty will dream of themselves drinking cold water, only to realize that they are really truly thirsty when they wake up. Very interesting, because this is a scripture on perspectives, perceptions. Okay, so I chose today's topic, why do Badimu let us go through or go to the wrong Lefehlo? I guess that it's a broad topic, but I'm going to touch on whether you are spiritually gifted or not. This is a question that I get a lot of times. Some will say, because kiloko lefetlong wrong, does this mean I'm gifted? Babang, they'll say, I'm gifted and I'm afraid to go to the wrong lefetlo. Others will say, I'm gifted, but so-and-so, or rather, I will say to them, you are gifted. And they will say to me, okay, but I went to another healer or a medium or whoever, and they said, no, I'm not gifted. So I guess let's start Lefehlo. No, let's start with the gifting part. Let's start with the gifted part. And then we'll build up to that. Okay, we'll build up to why you go to the Roman faith. So, I mean, are you gifted? What are the signs? Recently, most of us are dreaming of water, we're dreaming of beads, we're dreaming of all these things. This was a fundamental question that I asked myself for many years. I still have moments when I'm like, but I am not gifted, guys. Seriously. And I'm going to tread carefully with this one. My husband has been gifted for years. I mean, ever since I've known him. His Tunyasake was like on fire. He was he could see into the future. He could see future events ever since I've known him. Like, we'd go out and blah blah blah, and he would tell people what he sees and that. Whereas in my case, I saw nothing. I don't remember even having a dream. I like to sort of make reference to that because I think it's very important. I saw absolutely nothing. I don't remember having any significant dreams. I don't remember having anything that sort of said that I was gifted. But when I was told that I've got a spiritual gift by our first Kobela, who actually came to our house to do a reading on us, right? I was really like, okay, whatever. I don't believe it. However, she said, look, let's just go to my Mpande, and you can see it from there. See from there that you are gifted. That was actually what she said. And okay, and it did a lot of things to me. It did a lot of things to me. I was shaking like a leaf. But on the topic of, are you spiritually gifted? I know as Dingaka, we have tried to sort of differentiate the difference between a spiritual gift and a spiritual calling. I mean, I've also done a teaching on that. But I want to be honest, in saying that I had no signs of a calling. I had no signs to myself of a spiritual calling. And what started to happen is that as I did my spiritual work, I would only see gifted people. So much so that Lili Taulataka now, they are aimed at looking at a person's spiritual gift. So what are the chances that everybody who consults with me is spiritually gifted? Well, in my personal opinion, we are all gifted. A spiritual gift could translate into any way possible, right? Asisho kanje, what would be the difference between you and me and, let's say, Sadhguru? Sadhguru is brilliant. He is definitely spiritually gifted, and yet Sadhguru, his initiation, we don't know about it. He's gone through his own initiation process that he went through, in his perceptions, in his dreams, in his life happenings. And that's how he got the wisdom that he's got. He's not the only one. With me, it was the same thing. So when I want to say, okay, these are the signs that you are spiritually gifted, we can talk about those signs. We can talk about, not sleeping at night, we could talk about, you dreaming of amanzi and ama beads and that. Is it enough to say or qualify you as spiritually gifted? Yes and no. Yes and no. Right? And my issue is this. Every religion, every culture has got a way in which its ascended masters rise or sort of ascend into being ascended masters. So Jesus himself was also spiritually gifted. I mean, does that mean that Jesus Christ knew at 6 years old that he was spiritually gifted? I can promise you not. He was probably not dreaming of the waters and the whatnot and Amabai back then. He was not, So every culture has got its own version of ascended masters. And these ascended masters and these prophets and these gurus and, even with Buddha, it was the same story. All of them, it is a particular life event, or it's a particular awakening, or it's a particular realization that brings about the gift. But at that time, they don't even know they've got a gift. So my only question, my only worry when I started my work was that why is African spirituality seemingly the only one that has a calling or an individual person who is called, versus, let's say, religion, where you could really read the Bible. That's what religion tells us. I mean, the prophets in church, especially in your modern day churches, they go to prophetic schools. Now you're getting yogi schools and schools on mysticism and enlightenment. I think there's a man named Von Lee, who I forgot his name, and he was one of the first people to study, or rather in the Western world, to study Sufism, right? So the Sufism, for those who don't know, it's like a form of mysticism that is sort of derived from Islam. So even Islam has got its own version of like Ubu Profeta and to be spiritually gifted, And if every religion allows people who may not necessarily be part of that religion, like us Africans, we did not grow up with a Jesus concept. We did not grow up, it's religion has been brought into Africa for us by colonizers. We fundamentally did not perceive a Jesus, right? Or an ascended master who would have died for, everybody's sins. We had no perception of it, but we already knew about our forefathers, and we already knew that we were intuitive. However, despite the fact that we can still use the same Bible and become prophets using the Bible. We can go to prophetic schools, remember Profeta, through the Bible. So if that is the case, why then do we believe that African spirituality is not inclusive? I'd like to challenge I'd like to challenge all of you guys, actually. Specifically those who say that not everybody has got a calling, or rather not everybody is spiritually gifted in the African sense, right? A calling, yes, would be some type of life event, indirectly, that serves to let you know that amadlozi akho, they want you to take up on a spiritual gift, right? But let's say amadlozi are a village, like we are a society. Why would amadlozi agiti call me and amadlozi agini don't call somebody from your household? It wouldn't make sense. I mean, if I'm going to be raised to a place of prestige and to serve amadlozi army, why wouldn't amadlozi akho require somebody within your family to do the same thing? And why would amadlozi army allow me to be spiritually gifted, whereas inyangas khona ekhaya, they are spiritually gifted people in my family? It could even be the whole family. So how do Badibu sort of discern now that, okay, no, in this household, we have got to give a spiritual gift. And in that household, no, we don't need anything there. Okay, fine. Fine, they can do that. Again, that was one of my issues. In as much as when we do readings, it's become common practice for us to tell you guys a spiritual gift is coming from a particular person. We could even say a spiritual gift comes from inyanga, from your mother or your father's side or whoever, And that person, it's very interesting, because now we sort of solidify saying to you, the person uzokuhlola ukuthi okay, no, ugogo wakho was inyanga and ugogo lo wants to give you ubunyanga bakhe. Fair enough, she can want to do that, but here's the thing, bogogo nabomkhulu. If you look at the million generations that have inhabited this earth, right? The millions of generations that have inhabited this earth. What are the chances as ugogo Lerato that I wouldn't be able to pick up on inyanga from Guinea? It's impossible. It's impossible. So us being spiritually gifted, it means that when you go for a reading or when you start to have an interest towards spirituality, there is an inclination. And for us to be able to motivate that inclination, Uguti, where does it come from? It wouldn't be a hard task. Why? Why? Okay. We have what we call a genetic memory. Okay, so what does that mean? It means that when your physical attributes are attributes encoded in your DNA, right? This is your mother and your father's DNA. So on your body, you definitely have your father's ears or your mother's ears or your your mother's breasts or your father's great-grandmother's breasts. These things happen. Not that they happen, they are like that, right? Every cell has sort of evolved through time with a combination of all of these cells and of all of this DNA, right? And if you today are a manifestation of your ancestors' DNA, if you today are a manifestation of a DNA of millions of lifetimes before you, what that actually means is that indirectly, Idlozi lives through you and Amadlozi are you now. It means that if you are your mother's daughter, right, your mother being the first line of Amadlozi Ako becomes the person that you are, that is going to be your first line of Idlozi Lako, so becomes the person that you're most likely going to take the gift from. And from her now comes her mother or her father, and so on, so on, so on, so on. So our lives are an embodiment of many generations of our greats, of our ancestors. It means that with the genes, with the genetic makeup, the inclination towards idlozi and towards spirituality has been there somewhere. Because when we as Africans practiced our form of healing and our form of divinity, of divining, right? It was at the time not something secluded or it was not something exclusive for certain people. I do believe that for many generations, for many years, our ancients, what they would do was to be what we are now was the norm. It was nothing exceptional. I think it's Ubabu Credo Mucha speaks about the Chitauri. I love to mention that video, and I've been saying I want to give a teaching on that one day. But what he says is that pre what we know now, let's call it prehistory, people were not talking. People were not talking with their mouths. People were sort of communicating telepathically, right? And it does make sense, because I mean, if we say that we're coming from whatever, the age of whatever, the apes, then of course, language is something that came over time. So it means that throughout the history of this universe or the history of this world and our species, our people, our species, throughout this history, it means that there was a time when we would communicate as body language only. Let's say during the 8 times. Then we started to make sounds and things like that, right? But before then, if you think about ants, if you think about insects, right? they don't make any sound. They communicate with the antenna. So sound necessarily, or language and speaking, is not the definition of does not define that life exists. And that also does not define intelligence or intellect. Ants don't talk, they don't have heads. However, their intellect and the way that they do things is highly organized, right? I'm still coughing. So it means that over time, as a human race, there was a time when, over time we learned how to speak. We learned how to, express ourselves and our views and things like that. So at the time when we're not able to speak, we were communicating telepathically. And then later through body language and sounds and things like that. So what would be the chances that our initial elders, our forefathers, their spirituality, what we call spirituality now and telepathy now, what are the chances that that telepathy was really just part of the evolutionary process of them, where they did not necessarily need to speak, but started to perceive nature and started to perceive things in this world? It makes sense. It absolutely makes sense, right? So what we are calling now to be a diviner or a hobonsiwa, I don't think that it is something that is reserved for certain people. I highly disagree with that. And it's over time that I feel that I don't agree with that. I do not agree with that. And I think that it's over time. I remember saying this, and I still say this to people. If there is anybody who was not supposed to be spiritually gifted, and it's me. I honestly do not know how I ended up on this side of life. I've got no idea. I've got absolutely no idea. I had no signs before that, right? So I think that maybe what we are calling spiritual gifts, or the ability to porofita and the ability to see into the future, I think maybe it's just a very strong inclination that we have been given by our forefathers. And if you want, or if you are interested in that, then the choice of life, or rather the choices that God has given us into this life, then that choice of the life force within you, it can make the decision towards the inclination of that. And the more you practice and the more you're going into it, the more that life will open that door for you. That is my belief. The more you practice and you're going into a particular, space, the more that the essence of life, the elements of life will open that door for you, right? So I believe that I'm probably more profeta by chance. I bumped into it by chance. However, when I started doing it, I had such an interest in it. So everything of mine, my interest, it formed part of it. Things like ukuhlehla and things like ukuphahla and to pray, it became my daily norm. It became something that I could not do, right? I started to involve my every being into this practice now, right? I enjoyed it, honestly speaking. And I think that is why by the time Idlozlam burst open, I mean, I had gone through the cycle of choosing to love it, knowing that it might not yield anything. I did not love it because it could give me anything. I did not love it because I felt that it would make my ancestors, I was doing my ancestors a favor. I just went into it because more and more and more, it seemed to pull me in, and I also seemed to be attracted to it. So, are you gifted? Are you spiritual? Everybody is. Everybody is. I used to make this joke, Uguti, when I went ePhehlweni bayongishayela. I'm sure Ugogo Mamchali was not planning on coming through as it was Lam. I always make this joke. And I say, I guess that day when Isgupu, was being, the drums were being whacked, ugogo wami was like, you know, ingane yami prophet, but okay, let me just go. You know, I don't know how true that is. A part of me feels like my great-grandmother, Umam Chali, sort of came through for me, you know, as idlozi elithwasiwayo. I did get to find out much later that, yeah, well, she did have a gift and she's been wanting to give it to somebody else. Or rather, she gave it to my grandmother. My grandmother is not interested. And incidentally, or maybe the elements of life again, they aligned, right? If I'm carrying Umam Chali's DNA as part of me, she knew, and I knew indirectly that I knew indirectly that she was me, and she knew that I am her. So in actual fact, you know, it's a joke that I say, she was just sleeping, Edloziville, happy with his PO. She did her work, she was inyanga, she did her job, she did her work as inyanga, she was done. She died an old lady after healing many people, right? And I always say that, you know, Bamvusile, she was not planning on coming through. It's possible, but like I'm saying, because she and I, genetically, we are connected. She knew, so did I, you know. And Bokoko, I'm not trying to say that Bungaga is for everyone. Please hear what I'm saying to you. Please, what I'm saying to you, right? Bungaga is not something that you should pursue. We should not pursue it to attain it. Bungaga, the problem with Bungaga is that, you know, right now people are saying they are associating with the image or the branding or the ideologies of what Bungaga are. And that is the problem. And that is why we attain it. Most of the time we attain Bungaga, or we want to attain Bungaga as a way to cover up for what we are lacking or what we feel we are lacking. The problem is that we go into spirituality with a lack mentality and feeling like I, as Lerato, am not enough. So I think that's where this whole chase, the spiritual calling comes from. You know, we could be going around chasing it because we feel like, I don't know who I am, so let me chase an identity of Bungaga. Because if I can change that identity, Amabai, then maybe that will make me somebody. So, you know, in many ways, Bungaga now in our lousy minds becomes like being a rock star, like being a celebrity. It becomes that way. And I think that's where we sort of miss it. That now, you know, we miss the inclination towards spirituality, and we go for the image and the branding of it, right? We go for the ego of what Bungaga is. And I think maybe that's why now, you know, Inyanga have sort of said, hey, you know, there's a calling and there's a spiritual gift. You know, I'm not quite sure if you had a calling into spirituality, and if you had a spiritual gift into spirituality, I'm not quite sure how the two would really be separated. I don't know how they would really be separated because, you know, these things are all spiritual gifts. Okay. So enters now the topic for the day. Why do you end up ephehlweni elirongo? I get this a lot during readings. And look, I know it hurts. Some people have had, you know, amadlozi abo sort of angry at them and their gifts have been closed, you know, going to the wrong Lefehlo and that type of thing. Why do we end up Lefehlong leli wrong? If you are gifted, why do you end up Lefehlong leli wrong? Okay. So firstly, I didn't know that I was gifted. I didn't believe in that, but I still ended up Lefehlong leli wrong. So ke don't see na, right? And kashayelwa Lefehlong leli wrong, except I didn't know it. And only after a while that I picked up that I met the wrong Lefehlo, I was really afraid. I was really afraid. Why, you know, did I end up there? You know, I used to ask myself, because in many ways, I was not going out searching to be ngaka. You know, I was not going searching to be more prophet. I didn't know that people could do that. You know, I just knew that there were people who were dingak. I just didn't know where they came from. So, you know, when I ended up at the wrong Lefehlo, to me, it was more like, but I knew that I'm not spiritual, right? And I regretted doing it because now it felt like I'd started something bigger than me. And it felt like now I had Ugobela, who was umtagati, that was going to kill me. And I was really afraid. And I was like, but how? How did I end up in this mess? You know? But in general, oh, by the way, going to the wrong Gobela and going to the wrong Lefehlo is actually proof that Abo Gobela believe what I'm saying, that anybody can be spiritual. Because if I'm Ugobela and I take you, knowing that you are not supposed to be empandeni yami, knowing that you are whatever, prophetic, or not even properly assessing your gift, that means ukuthi I tell myself that ngizofaka ama-beats, ngikushayele ngesigubhu, and idlozi will come up. So I think that on its own is proof from inyanga ezinye ukuthi we are probably all inclined towards spirituality, right? I think they just feel that they can force you into it and they can teach you into it, because intrinsically ubunyanga besintu, African spirituality is well aware that through ukuphatha regularly and ukuhlehla and all of these other practices, that now it's repetition, and anything that you do repeatedly obviously will bring about inclination towards that thing. So I'm just going to say this in passing. That's it, right? So why do you go ephehlweni eli wrong? I don't know, I think I'm tired today. You know, my language. This is fundamentally why you need to go to the wrong Lefehlo. We always think that it's a mistake. And I know with me, when people do readings and they've been sent to the wrong Lefehlo and I pick it up, I normally get so angry about it. I used to get very angry about it. I used to be livid because I used to look at you going Lefehlo wrong as I would see it from the perspective of my life and where I come from, right? And the anger and the problems that I experienced after being there, right? And the confusion that I experienced after being there. And the fear that I experienced after being there. The fear, the confusion, you know, the anger, the feeling like I've been robbed. So previously, and even when I look at people who've gone emaphehlweni wrong, I always projected from my own sense of anger and my own sense of experience, right? Which is not correct. It's not right, by the way. However, because kimutu, right, I will do some projections of my own life in readings. That's what spirituality is about, or rather, that's what happens when you read a person. A part of you connects with that person, right? So the fact that it was something that I could relate to was something that previously used to make me wrong. However, let me tell you guys, and I'm going to say this one with confidence. Amaphehlo are right. Are very few. Are very, very, very few. And when I say that amaphehlo are right, or rather, let me say it like this: Lefehlo lele right for wena is only one. Only one Lefehlo that is right for you. Only one. And it will be that particular one that you end up going to, right? I want to also emphasize that Lefehlo leotlo yanko lona, right? Leliling right eventually is going to only be one. Not only because of what the Gobela can provide or the skill that the Gobela knows. No, not only because of that, right? But because of the alignment spiritually between Badimu Bahao and that Gobela's Badimu. I want to give you guys a very interesting story. I had a Twasa 2 months back. She was here, you know, her Leshoba, everything of hers is done. I did say that I'm going to teach one day about my style of Uktwasisa and why I do it that way. She was here for 2 weeks, you know, she started really good. I could automatically sense that Badimba had opened up her reading taula, and that she needed very little maintenance from me. And I was really happy because I felt that then it means that we could build up on other things, right? The foundation of who she was. I felt that she would be able to continue. This was like 2 months ago. So after she left here, my Twasa met up with some family members, distant relatives. It's such a long story. Who ended up taking her to some church, and then now sort of saying to her, "Utwase ini," what did you twasa? So she came back with these questions to me. What did I twasa? And I said to her, for now, I believe you only twasa is tunya. I don't see how I can teach you idlozi lakho. I honestly don't. That's a conversation for another day, So I said to her, no, utwasa is tunya. That's what you were here for, right? And I could see the question marks in her head, sort of saying, but unrutile taola as well. I mean, what's the story there? And I just said to her, Gogo, you must remember that now I look at dinto tsa gago from a possibilities point of view. So this is how I train other people. I had Istunya Sami open up. And since the time I had Istunya Sami open up, I've been able to use any form of uklola. I can bula ngamatambo without being taught. I was never taught, actually. I could bula with iBhayibheli. I've never been taught that. Right? These are things that just came to me. So my belief is that Istunya is a foundation, because once that is done, then Istunya can inform amatambo. Istunya can inform whatever, whether it's a tarot card or whatever. So, I mean, I could see that now, there's a lot of question marks, and she was not happy with me, right? So here's my point. She left, okay, she got a bit sidetracked, sidelined by other people. They took her up and down now. They took her up and down. And then a month later, we started talking again. But the thing was, I already started to see the signs when she began this other journey, that she felt that being jala, she felt like, no, this one, she's faga my makeup, I could sense that, and it's part of the journey. I knew that she needed to go through that. I knew that she needed to go through a point where she thought that whatever that I've taught her is just too simple. Right? It's too simple. There is no way it could be a proper gift. If ukutwasa was so easy the way that I made it, there was no way. Why would people need to pay for it? So a month later, okay, she'd had a few horrible experiences, or not horrible, a few bad experiences where she had been going. And she was starting to feel uneasy now. And what I taught her was, now, firstly, she had departed from it, right? Because at some point she couldn't resonate with it. And now when she experienced what she experienced, she came back, and now she struggled to connect with this that I'd taught her initially. Because in her mind, and I want to show this to you guys, in her own mind, she thought that going to pursue that school of thought meant leaving this school of thought behind. Or maybe being questioned from that school of thought meant that it means that this school of thought, where I had, taught her to do basic things, now it no longer resonated with her. So when she went there and sort of came back, now she did not know what to believe anymore. Because it is my very boring school of thought, very simple school of thought, that had her departing for the sunshine and bling bling, right? Only to realize that it was shining there, but it's as keepy, right? So it became very difficult. So, but anyway, the good news is that me and her, look, I know that this is part of the journey. So I'm going to be picking up on school next year sometime. Okay. So, but why do they allow us? Lefehlo la gago is only one. What was I trying to say, ka my Twasa? At that time, Lefehlo la gage was not here. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. Lefehlo la gage was not here. She came here, but she didn't have the right amount of resonance with what I had to teach her. She didn't have the right amount of the ability to fully align with my method and my understanding of what idlozi is. She didn't have it at that time. So this Lefehlo could have been the right one for her. However, there had never been a differentiation. So she had never experienced something outside or other than what I taught her. And now, I am more to experience what I've not taught her. Right? Because what I taught her looked so simple. It looked like child's play, actually. And that is the thing. When she came here, I looked at the preparedness of the gift. The gift was prepared. The person was not. Right? So now, because now she's going to have absolute resonance with Lefehlo mo alenteng now. She's going to have absolute resonance for what I've got to teach her. Right? So, Badimo send you to the wrong Lefehlo, to the wrong Gobela. It's not a mistake on Badimo's part. It's not that Badimo abayitse gore Gobela eo yang ko yone is the wrong one. They allow you to go and they allow you to enter Lefehlo leo because A, you need to understand gore bongaka is not the ego. Firstly. Secondly, re kena mo bongakeng, or rather we want to trust and become spiritual people, but we lack integrity. What is that? What is that? You want to become a spiritual being or to be sort of seen as ngaka, right? But when, as an individual, you lack the integration of your life. You don't have the integrity. Here's a good example. You're at home. You know, you've had your children young, stranded, your life is standing still. Right? And the moment you start to get the dreams, the dreams Bungaka now starts to become an escape from your own life of who you are and what is presently or currently happening. So then you start to pursue Bungaka in sort of an attempt to say, yes, because Badimo wanted it to be like that so that I kilo twasa. Right? You're forgetting your mom and your dad are taking care of these kids. Now you want to go Willow Twasa and be something else now. Because in your immediate environment, and whatever, you know, in your immediate environment where now you feel like the takatahako have gone to school and blah blah and they're working and you're a failure. In your immediate environment, now you cannot identify or you cannot recognize yourself anymore. You have lost the ability to recreate yourself. So you are not integrated, right? And you start to use the serving Yabadimu as an escape. You go now to go and become something else that you are not. Not that ungak. But your life currently, before you go and twasa, is not symbolic of that. Right? So Badimo sort of allow you wrong also to be able to show you discernment. And you need to have an appreciation of what is completely wrong for you to be able to understand what is right. Here's the thing. Maybe you did. Right? But right? You didn't. Maybe the dream said, just meant go, have a reading, come back. It's always the safest thing to do. If you dream of me, have a reading with me. Go back, and see, because I've seen this in many of my readings, where people will say they've dreamt of me, but it meant that I must explain a particular concept to them. So after I've explained that concept to them, then their journey can continue. It doesn't necessarily mean what they needed to come here. Right? So by doing what they send you sort of on this wild goose chase Also to show you that you don't know a damn thing. It is paramount to spirituality to acknowledge that you don't know a thing. Hariti next. Larwana dinga kanza rikinze mabai, ragita and whatnot. Rejantwas. Hariti why we are doing it. We don't know why we're doing it. We just know what it's been done before. We don't know why we're doing it. I got only cut the taula that we use, we don't know why, how it came about. The taula must be used and why. Why those bones? And why not the taula tadi lipstick containers? Because I've done a reading, the perfume bottle lids. We don't question. We don't know a damn thing, right? Even now, like I'm saying, we are busy on this journey, but we don't know a damn thing. So badimo ba batla gore o kene go lefetlhong le le wrong gore o itse gore o bone gore you don't know a thing, right? Regardless of the fact that you've had the dreams, regardless of the fact that badimo ba gago are giving you a gift, they need you to acknowledge that you are an empty shell, you are an empty vessel, you don't yet have anything to offer them. Because it is from that place that you can have the humility to be able to understand that the spiritual gift is not you with how favor. No. Yes, favor, but no, you're not really. No, you're not really. Right? And they also need you to understand that this gift is not going to now sort of shadow and cover everything else that you were before and now make you a new person. I remember from many years ago on the footprints, somebody saying that Badimu don't like social media and that. And at the time I was like, oh, and over the years I've realized, in a way, she was right. Or I were at the social media, right? Not because Badimu have got a problem with evolution and us using technology, no. But because depending on the stage of life which you are, Badimu don't want you to attach your identity to becoming a social media person or being all over the show. Badimu want you to learn your spiritual gift your way. The way that they've given it to you and to understand it. Yes, Badimu Balona, they allow you guys to find us and to reach us through social media. Yes, right? However, when you are also on the journey, Badimu Balona also don't want you to learn Bungaka on social media. Because they know, Kore, Dingaka will never tell you, or we don't know a damn thing what we're doing. We don't. And they know that what you see from Gogo Lerato can inhibit or change the way that you understand your own sense of spirituality in such a way that now when Badimu say to you, we want you for now uje beetroot for 7 days instead of ibul, you are going to have a serious problem with that. Because now there's ibulu on social media, there's inzunza and whatnot, there's nikazi and dozi, amanono. They know that sometimes it's information overload, right? Is actually, instead of bringing you closer to your gift, is taking you away from it. Because now it becomes difficult for you to understand your way of healing, your way of doing things, and your ancestors' way of doing things. So, now I'm realizing it. No. So they will send you on wrong for that reason. They will also send you to the wrong Lefehlo to get rid of the ego. An egotistical individual like Litwasan. Yo, Matwasa, they think they are special. Right? There's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with feeling special. We are all here for a special life purpose. Right? So, Wakena in there, because now, you've got the sense of grandiose, this false sense of superiority. I mean, we will not say it openly, right? But it's that chip on the shoulder that says, yeah, I'm special. Yeah, I'm the one, right? And we get into this language now, this one is a spiritual gift, an easy spiritual gift. I've heard that one. People say, oh no, that spiritual gift is profit, it's easy. There's no gift illing difficult like profit, right? I want to tell you guys, profit is a very difficult gift to open up. It should actually be the one because mundawateng is tied into stunya. Mundawateng is tied into this profit. It's a problem. It's a problem. They teach you guys the entire where they say we are gachekwa and then di kuku. So Badimo allow you to go into this space where now this gobela is going to tell you, no, you just need to go 2 and then mompandeng and then ribuletse mandao. Uvulele umdawo wakho, umdawo uyamparola emanzini, umparola ka booty. You just go, you just carry your committing ra go kenya mo metsing mole booty mundao done. You just go in ephehlweni, you have ibudlu done. So they send you into that environment. The spiritual gift that you've been given, A, you must be able to go with it steadfastly. And B, doesn't make you a deputy Jesus. Don't have a deputy Jesus perspective. It's not going to take you anywhere. Right? And then how you come in mochaye, you're marching up and down, you're telling everybody how they should live their lives, right? Telling everybody how they should live their lives. Who knows? Right? The family member, lawyer, because you've been shown in your dreams that your aunt was a lawyer. You know this now. You know this without even having any understanding of what the dream meant. So Badimo, they send you wrong. Opatala your karma. It's actually your Ndao spirits that sends you into the wrong Lefehlo. Umdawe wako decisively, precisely want you uye to the wrong Lefehlo because Ndao spirit is a karmic spirit. So the karma, the payback for all the bad things you've done, karma mundao. He needs you there to go and kill those things and to go and bury and burn those things with the wrong gobela. That wrong gobela needs to make sure that they destroy you and your sense of entitlement. They need to make sure that they destroy your own sense of being represented on the outside, right? Or they will make sure only to come back and say, listen, but for them to come back and say, no, we never wanted the beads on you. Can you take them off? Didn't. So that you can have this process now where you are neither here nor there. African spirituality is about being a nobody. You want to be ngaka? Be a no one. Don't walk around with a chip on your shoulder. You want to learn your work? Be a nobody. Be humble. Be a person who says, I can learn. Can I tell you, with the many years of asking Badimo all of these things that I know, I don't know enough. There are houses that I get to, and people will say, can you come with cleaning in Ruyam? And I get them like, but why should I be cleaning in Ruyako? He goes like, why are they not protecting your house? Do you get what I'm saying? It's learning to ask the fundamental questions that put you outside of being self-important. So this that you guys are all being taught, I'm coming, what nonsense. And Badimo know that Singabantu, we believe in that. We believe you are strong. You are strong. And all I did was take black chalk and ash and the oil thick, and put that on your marks. You don't know what's in there. You don't know what's in there. You don't know. Go party to and you don't know it. And then what I'm going to tell you is that manje business lakho abantu bazozwa ngawe. What have I done? All I've done is reinforce your psychological well-being. That's all I've done. Right? You're going to go out there marching, believing that you are the it. And you know what? The positive energy that I've brought in Moena is what's going to attract business and customers for you. That's what. Yes, we can use Miriana. Miriana, ya the business. Miriana, ya this and this and this and this. When I had my salon, we used Miriana for my salon. Kibeile mole, wait again. Holy bees. Salon saka ne khona Miriana, because I was like, this salon is going to get lit. And then my prophetic spirit said to me, Emma pele salon is marke sa rona mara waits. As in Dumba. And I was like, yeah, but you guys said Kiben Dumba inside the salon. They were like, yeah, but it's like a church building. What's a profit? So I was like, okay, so what should be done? I mean, Kibele Muriana had customers. And they were like, I want a customer to kenamo. We want the beats off. How? And then they said to me, we don't want you to have Muriana for the salon. And I was like, why? Bar ungak. You're coming here with your berek. We've set up this salon so that you must work in the Ndumba. We want you to work back. So you don't need Muriana to bring people for Muriri because we're not interested in that. And I was like, how? So I can't even use Muriana. I went to many prophets and they all couldn't give me Muriana in my business. It was just the most disappointing thing ever. I was ashamed in my own gift. Because I can help other people in their businesses. Now, if I come to your business and say, this is going to bring up business, but they show me one or two things that are going to make your business flourish. But in my case, they said, no, and my business side was failing. So, Badimu send you to the wrong Lefehlo because they need you to understand that Umuti doesn't fix everything. You know, we will say, no, you can use Umuti for this and this and this. If your ancestors don't need or want you to be using a certain type of umuti, I can promise you it's going to be poison to you. It doesn't matter how good it is. Right? So they want to make sure that you're going to get rid of this chip on your shoulder. And they put Ugobela there who's going to teach you to unlearn what you thought you were. They're going to teach you to unlearn what you thought Bungaka is. Bungaka is not the Giting and the Ndumba and the you going around telling everybody what you think you know. It's not about that. Bungaka is about bringing alignment to your own life. It's about bringing alignment to your own life first. You become a monk to Badimu Bahau. You become a servant. You become a slave to your ancestors. And then it starts to be, it is extended to other people. So for all of you guys, when you guys come for readings, Monna, you are my masters, right? Not only because you guys are making my bread and my butter happen. No, not only because of that, right? But now you are teaching me about how to heal others and myself through your unique experiences. So in actual fact, Ngaka, that is why experience is important. Ngaka is taught by their patients. If you don't come for a reading, it means that I can have a roto on the table, right? So your ancestors indirectly, they are coming to bless me. They are coming to give me bread. And they are making things available for me through you. Now, if I have not gone through the pain of going without, of being physically sick, and going without and going through iphetlo eli wrong, ke phatsiwe ka molora and whatnot, be told a hoax, a nonsensical story. If I've never gone through that, I will not recognize the power behind your 1 rand. Going back to the lesson that I was giving you guys, that is why Abadimu don't teach about slavery, because we have been enslaved. And fortunately, Badimu have created this bad Lefehlo, because it is like within the system, but it is a way to undo the slavery mentality. It's so funny because a bad Lefehlo is fundamentally based on the slavery mentality. But it is also the only way to undo the slavery mentality within you. So, I hope we can have peace. For Baba Ilengoli wrong, go and cleanse. It's that simple. It's not that much Mademoiselle didn't know you were going to go there. They knew. Marbar was Peter. Was Peter. And you think that Khubangaka is about the recognition. And you think that Khubangaka is about resonating with people that you don't know. Before I can resonate with any patient, before you had better make sure that you have made peace with your family. Because if you don't know how to make peace within your family, you will never be ngaka. Your Nguni spirit can work well and it can heal people, but umdawe wako will never come out and work. I can promise you guys that. I can promise you that. Umdawe, the only real way ubuparula umdawe is by going and leaning back into the family and leaning into yourself and back into the family and saying that, what is it fundamentally in my heart of hearts and through my intentions am I sort of seeing incorrectly about my family? Anything to do. If you want to be ngaka, you're going to have to find a way to really connect with them. We don't want you to have a spiritual gift. If you don't find a way to connect with your family members, and to connect with your ancestry, you don't have the building blocks of Bungaka. And the building blocks of Bungaka is to do your own inner work. Before you can teach us, before ukabata gore blella gore wena o ka re etsa rich or wena o ka re fodisa of our ailments, you had better make sure that you are purging yourself weekly, daily. This journey is about purging ourselves. So I can even feel it. Today's class was more like lecturing, but I think it's been an hour. Right? Good luck, for those who are wrong. Shit happens. That's really how Badimu see it. Shit happens. Go and get yourselves cleansed and take time, to say, who am I? Who am I? And afterwards, go back and continue on your journey, realizing that this was never about you becoming anything. Khubangaka is not to become anything, but it's actually to unbecome. It's to become a nobody. Khubangaka is to be a nobody. And if we can all assume the place of a slave than that of a master, then Badimu are going to give you so much in return. I know that Bungaka, I know going through a spiritual gift, it's very tough because you go through so much, and it's very difficult because it's like we are asking you guys, Moma Fethong, to sort of become something that you don't know how to be, right? But it's only after you have experienced what you don't want to be that you realize that to be what you should be is actually meant to be easy. And to be bogogo nabomkhulu is literally to be. It's just that I think it's just that but if we could, this is what I believe bungaka should be. You guys should be coming really ruta to just sit alone for hours on end in silence before Relifa. That's actually what we should be doing. Relifa, a whole week, we bring you food and water, and you sit in silence for a week. Because most of the spiritual work that we need to do is work that you need to do on yourself alone. And then the third eye can be opened. And then the crown chakras can be opened and the solar plexus. What we should really be doing is that lipalaze, first day, cleanse you guys, and then give you guys like a week in complete silence. It's unfortunate that we haven't evolved to getting there. So we keep you guys busy with a lot of things. But the point is that Bungaka is about you being. And until you can be in a place or in a situation where you can stop and say, I need to stop and just be, then Bungaka cannot really manifest in you. So if you feel you need to go Lefehlo, take a week or two, no social media, no anything, no outside influence, and just be. Stay kuhalona, do nothing, or clean the house quietly. What can you be shown? And then you can find your way forward, or right? If you are at the wrong Lefehlo, listen, don't wait for Gogo and Libomkulu Bahao to come jumping up and down, If you are perceptive enough, now I was not perceptive. It took me such a long time for wrong because I didn't know what was supposed to be done anyway. So, I thought everything is was right. Nikibono Rokia, it's not supposed to be, but I was like, hey, but Kibungaka, I don't know this. Right? However, if you feel that you're at the wrong place, do yourself this favor. Sama, when you are Lefehlo, if you get a chance, Sama or go and pasha alone and say, am I at the wrong place? Right? And if you feel that you're not at the right place, pack your stuff and go. Most of the time, refila ore now, if we offend the Kobela and we say, no ratzama, kiatzama, I'm not supposed to be a kiatzamaya. We feel like if we do that, we are But here's the thing. If you are meant to be Lefehlo and you feel, okay, kiatzamaya, Badimo will always find a way for you to end up Lefehlo ngape if they wanted you Lefehlo. So you've got nothing to lose on this journey. This is an incredibly freeing journey. But the level of freedom, it's scary. We just don't know how to use it. We just don't know how to use it. So, yeah, this is a topic I think Kiwile now because it's busy. Next week, we'll tell like a topic in a juice now it's again. And that don't fear. Don't fear. On this journey, don't fear anything. But you have waited for so many years for you and now that you are you're trying to do it. The falling off the wagon and being at the wrong Lefehlo and that it's all part of the plan, right? Eventually you will end up Lefehlo na gago le right. But hangata Lefehlo la gago le right is just so simple. It's just so simple. I always tell people that I think Impande Yami is like Nose Impande because more I could say it's like being away from home. It's just my processing style is just it's snacks, but unfortunately but every time I've tried to change the way that I do things and make it more the way like Impande are, the more I try to do that is the more Baka say they say no. They say no, we don't want that. We do not want that. We don't want the blah 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 blah. Who actually come to my house, I'll tell you I'm very bad katram, right? So you sort of have to learn spirituality now without the props, without the drums, without the what. You've got to just learn by 1,000. That's basically what we do here. But that's a conversation for another day. So good luck with everything. Little kena mo mafetlong a wrong. Tlamelo le male mo lefatsheng go patalwa bo gogo na bomkhulu. Ngwana ha to mila meno go botlhoko walla. It's painful. You know, dikuku when you bake them, dia dubiwa, you know, tshantse o di dube, o di kenye mo paneng e chisang. Di tswa mo le you know, in a very hot oven. Kwa chisa ka mo wena o le motho ka tsenye satla ka mo ovening. But dikuku tse, they need that to rise. They need this bad hot experience. Gore di tswe mo di le dintle. There is no way bogogo na bomkhulu little twasa leya to the right mpande, leya to the right Lefehlo, you know, from the get-go. I can promise you guys. Right? The only thing is, do you have the discernment? When you realize you're at the wrong place, dodge. But I mean, normally we don't believe in that. We normally don't say it. Reading up. Dodge. I've got twasas by the way have left. Lava so boy. I mean, they must stay there until they are ready to come. Right? If they are not ready to ever come, it's fine. They must go. If your Josie wakes you up, it doesn't matter who you at Gogo Lerato's house. If Bajim Barata Maya, right? And say, I need to go. So to become something, to become a flower, you must break through that soil. Right? And the biggest challenge that each of us experience, especially is that we start to think that it's about rituals. We start to think that it's about mikiti and all of that. I mean, I've spoken about that. So they need you to change that. They need you to change that. So they put you in that environment. All of those things. Say no, when you thought next thing so best of luck Bokoko na bomkhulu. It was great to be with you guys today. Let me get going. Yeah, let me not add anything. So yeah, for those that have been told for little to I'm trying to get a nice program. I think yeah, my program is too simple, so I wanted to right? But we'll talk about that. For Bali readings, I'm very sorry, I'm just way too busy for one person. Yeah, I think I must have a stay in Twasa. I think I must have a proper mpande. Who help me do my readings. But it's a reading saga, then I can do other things. So have a great weekend, have a great week. See you guys next week. Topic hot, a nice one, right? Something that's going to apply to everybody, and hopefully we're going to be able to do that next week. I still got some readings to do this time of the night. Have a great week. See you guys next week.